Isn't this little thing great? I can go to my WordPress and blog. I can go to Orbitz and check for a ticket home. I can check my email. I can go to Apple Music and listen to the newest CDs. I can do all of this through my cell phone. Isn't technology great? Today I will be talking about the technology imperative. Um, and the information that I will be getting it from will be from our text, Intercultural Continents, and that is by Lustig and Kelsner. Hopefully I'm saying that right. So when I first got this topic, I was reading through it and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't get it. And then finally it clicked. After reading the definition and reading through the section a couple of times, it all kind of came together and looking up some of the words. Lustig and Kelsner describe the technological imperative as an increased urgency for intercultural continents. Because of the widespread availability of technologies and long-distance transportation systems, intercultural continents is now important as it's ever been. Basically, it is so important to be technology inclined in today's world. In order for your culture to grow, you have to know about technology, or else you'll be stuck in the same situation. And then they also talk about this transportation because the widespread all these availabilities of the technologies of the transportation system. You have to get into this in order for your culture to grow, in order for your culture to spread. Um, they also talk about a global village in chapter one. A global village on page 6, as termed by Marshall McLuhan. Um, it is the consequence of mass media's ability to bring events from the far reaches of the globe into people's homes, thus shrinking the world. I'm going to take an example. Even just taking myself. When I was little, one of the dreams that I always had was to go to Paris. And the reason why I wanted to go to Paris was because of Madeline. But I never really saw anything about Paris on TV. Not saying that it wasn't there, but it definitely wasn't there as much as now it is. I'm 25, so we had our one little box computer that everybody in the apartments would use. But I mean, it wasn't fast. You really didn't learn about things unless it was in your neighborhood. We still read the newspaper. But let's go to Paris now. An unfortunate event that happened was the Paris attacks. We knew right when it happened. There is no time gap when something happens anymore because of the technology that we have in today's world and in today's society. So it's almost like it is happening right outside of our door. So when something happens in the world, we actually feel it because we see it happening. One thing that comes to mind is September the 11th. My dad was born and raised in New York City, and when I got a call out of class that they were coming to get me because my dad was in a frantic that he couldn't get in contact with his sister or his parents. And when he finally did get in contact with them, he sat me down and told me none of this would have happened when I was younger. When I was your age, I wouldn't have known what would have happened because they would have cut the phone lines as they did before, but they would have never, they would have taken them a long time to get them back. And if they would have wrote a letter, it would have taken a while for them to get the letter, for the letter to get back to them. But my dad was emailing, my dad was calling, and he finally got a response. And I think that sometimes we take that for granted. Um, we have shrank as a world, as in what he says in the global village. But I think that it has helped so many cultures grow when they become familiar with technology. Um, this little thing right here, what I started off with, is so important to me because this is my real world example of being how the technological imperative has helped me. And being away from home on my internship, there's been times where I miss my mom or where I miss my best friends, and I've been able to FaceTime them. I've been able to FaceTime my best friends or my nieces and nephews, and it feels like they are right there with me. Although they're not physically with me, I can see their movements and everything. I can look for a ticket to go home. I can blog about anything that I want to. I can text anybody. I can talk. Being able to talk to somebody on demand, I don't think that sometimes we take that for granted. Um, Another thing that I want to point out before I leave is sometimes when I watch the Discovery Channel, I see cultures in Africa or I see, tribes in Africa, and they're still in that area that they were in hundreds of years ago. And it's a beautiful thing, but I wonder to myself if they were to get a hold of a cell phone, if they were to get a hold of transportation, where would that take their culture? We as a culture have expanded so much, and I think that's all due to technology. I think it's due to when we started the railroad systems. I think it's due to when we got the first computers or when we got the first cell phones. It is due to technology and the advancements that we have made. It is imperative, I cannot repeat this enough, for a culture to know about technology in order for a culture to grow interculturally, and also to learn about other cultures. So I hope that my real world definition, or my real world example of a cell phone, I hope that my real world explanation of why we need it and my breakdown of what Lucy and Kostner was trying to say helps you. All right. Thank you.